Yo, we are back with another Ryoku video. Guys, I genuinely didn't expect you guys to give my previous video this much love and support. Seriously, it means a lot to me. So yeah, this is part 2 of our Ryoku journey. In the last video, I discovered Ryoku for the first time and honestly, it really amazed me. The aesthetics, the functionality, and the whole experience just felt really different. But that was just the first look. Today, I have spent a lot more time inside Ryoku and we are going much deeper. We are going to check out settings, customization, Ryostore, some of the more unique features, and basically see what Ryoku is actually offering us. And more importantly, is all of this actually practical? Or is Ryoku just really good at looking cool? So let's find out. Okay, so let's start with the settings. And this is the profile page. The first thing I would say after seeing this is it looks really good. I mean, look at this guy right here. The typography, the live effects, everything happening on this page. Everything matches the vibe really well and visually it feels really well put together. But let me ask you something. If I just showed you this page for the first time and asked you what is this page actually for? Honestly, you might have a hard time figuring that out because when we actually look closely, we can find some really useful information here. We have our thermals, GPU usage, memory usage, network info, display resolution, installed packages, and even our kernel. So the information itself is useful. The problem is discoverability. It's not immediately obvious what this page is supposed to tell you or where exactly you should look. And I think this is something you will notice with Ryoku quite a few times. It can make something look absolutely beautiful, but sometimes that beauty comes at the cost of practicality. Anyway, let's actually start changing some things. We are using this font here, which honestly looks really good. But you guys know I like JetBrains Mono way too much. So let's see if we can find it here. Yep, it's right here. Let's switch to JetBrains Mono. And yeah, I like this way more. The scaling also feels a little too large for me. So I'm gonna bring this down to 1x. And yep, much better. Now, connections. Wait, why is there a live image of two people boxing here? Is this supposed to be a reference to mind muscle connection? And we can even theme the cursor from here. Let's try this one. Yep, I like this one. Ryoku also gives us some pretty useful system controls here. We can change the CPU profile, adjust the frequency, and we can have the battery charge limit. And yeah, Ryoku already has this enabled out of the box, which I really like. Now let's talk about something I actually found pretty interesting. The window settings. We are currently using the default window layout. But what is this? Scrolling layout. Okay, let me try it. How can I switch to windows? Okay, so this is how it works. We have to click here. That's actually pretty cool. But personally, I still prefer the default one. Now this one is interesting. Color scheme. Let's switch to live one. So it changes the color scheme according to the wallpaper. Okay, I actually like this one. It gives the whole desktop a really nice cohesive look. We can change the visualizer and there are actually some really nice ones here. I like this wave one and this curtain one too. And it's not just the visualizer itself. We can change its height, width and a bunch of other things. We can even adjust the smoothness and we have some cool widgets here as well. So yeah, there's actually a lot of customization packed into this. Then we have animations, Ryoku Bloom, and we can actually adjust the overall UI animations from here. And yeah, this is cool. And honestly, this is probably one of the things that keeps coming back throughout Ryoku. Every page I visit has some kind of aesthetic going on. And now the lock screen. Yup, this is where I applied the Minecraft lock screen from the beginning. I downloaded this one from Ryostore. But wait, look at this one. This clock UI lock screen. This might be the best thing I have seen in Ryoku so far. I genuinely want this lock screen on my Noctalia setup. And then we have this Nothing UI inspired lock screen that I also downloaded. This is looking really dope. Okay, enough about the aesthetics. Let's look at something that's actually really important for using the desktop every day. Key bindings. And I really like the fact that Ryoku has a lot of useful key bindings already configured. For example, Super plus enter opens the terminal, and I have also added Helium as my browser key binding, and adding an application is really easy. You basically click browse, select the application and you are done. You don't have to go digging through some config file just to add a simple keybind. And you also get all the usual system key bindings pre-configured. For example, I can easily switch the current application from tiling to floating mode with a key combination. Super plus alt plus number can send the current application directly to the workspace I want. And for screenshots, super plus shift plus S and we get the screenshot tool. And there is a lot more stuff here. So at this point, Ryoku starts feeling less like a shell that you have to configure and more like a complete desktop experience built around Hyprland. Then we have add-ons, basically plugins, and there are some pretty cool things here. For example, this photo frame widget, and pretty much everything here is configurable. But then I found something called Rashin, and honestly, this one is a little different. So Ryoku Rashin is basically a live map of your machine. It keeps information about things like your hardware, packages, and configuration so coding agents can understand the system they are working on instead of having to rediscover everything from scratch. So basically, Rashin gives it the map, and according to the project, this information stays on the machine. I actually want to spend more time with this one because there's probably a lot more to explore here. But for now, let's move on. Okay, this one I really liked. Ryowalls. They have a bunch of downloadable wallpapers from different sources and websites, and there's actually some really good stuff here. So if you are someone who spends half an hour looking for the perfect wallpaper, you might get stuck here for a while. And then we have the Ryostore. And honestly, this is one of the things that makes the whole Ryoku experience feel more complete. I have already downloaded a few lock screens from here, like the ones I showed you earlier. And there are also full themes like this cyberpunk one. So you can basically explore the store, find something you like, install it, and start changing the look of your desktop without manually configuring everything yourself. And that's really the whole idea behind Ryoku. You get this entire ecosystem around the desktop. While testing Ryoku, I did run into one problem. I was changing the quick shell bar and the quick shell crashed. The bar stopped working, and after that it was basically only opening the downloaded bar configuration I had from Ryostore. Now I am not going to blame Ryoku completely for this one because I had updated the system before recording this video. So it could be very well be related to that update. But still, this is something I experienced while testing Ryoku, so I wanted to mention it. And this is actually important when I get to the conclusion. But before we move on, I just noticed something really cool. Look closely at the bar. If I click between these two widgets, they separate, and if I click again, they join back together. Okay, that's some unique shit. I haven't seen this kind of interaction in the other shells I have tried. Now we have seen a lot of the features, but there's one thing I wanted to test. What is Ryoku actually like when I'm just using it? So let's do a normal workflow. I'll open my browser, move it to the another workspace, open the terminal, switch something to floating, full screen something, take a screenshot, and move between everything using the pre-configured key bindings. And this is where I think Ryoku's whole concept starts making sense. You don't really have to think about the configuration. You just use the desktop. And that's probably one of the biggest strengths of Ryoku. So after spending all this time exploring Ryoku, what do I actually think about it? Honestly, I think this is a really interesting project. The biggest thing I appreciate about Ryoku is that you are not just given a bare Hyperland setup and told to spend the next weekend configuring dot files. And that's why, for me, Ryoku feels less like just a shell and more like a complete desktop experience built around Hyperland. But there is a downside to that approach. Ryoku is a lot. There's a ton of happening visually. The animations are everywhere. There are a lot of settings. And sometimes I felt like the aesthetics were taking priority over simplicity. And then there's the other thing I can't ignore. It's still in beta. I actually experienced a quick shell crash while testing the bar. So when I'm deciding whether something's ready to become my daily driver, stability matters. So if you ask me, would I switch to Ryoku as my daily driver right now? For me, No, not yet. But that's not because I don't like it. Actually, it's almost the opposite. There are a lot of things here that I genuinely love, especially this lock screen. I seriously want this on my Noctalia setup, and I really want to see where the developer takes Ryoku as it continues to develop. So that's my experience with Ryoku. Now I want to know what you guys think. Do you like this whole idea of a pre-configured Linux desktop, or do you still prefer building and configuring everything yourself? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't watched my Noctalia video yet, you can check that one too. I'll see you in that video.